coyotes. The sparrows are trying to stay warm today. Come take a walk with me. Today, the temperature with wind chill is -1 degrees. Hello, Blue Jay. That's a Blue Jay. Classic Blue Jay. So I've decided this morning to wear a hat, or a cap rather, instead of a hat, I should say. And the reason is because I intentionally wish to expose myself to this cold for however extended period of time we'll be out here as an example of mind over matter and how those doctors who would otherwise say I'm crazy, that I'm about to get frostbite, I'm about to prove that is not the case. That through the power of my mind and the development of brown adipose tissue, my ears, my hands, exposed to the cold, shall have no problem staying fit and warm. And that's the example I wish to give today. So let's do some bigger strides than the ones I was doing yesterday. I'm not going to put this to the test by being complacent or lazy. I'm gonna cook. Get the engines running. Choo choo. Hello, chickadee. Choo choo, chickadee. You can tell how cold it is today based on how the birds look. They all look fat and plump, when in fact they're not. They're just puffing up their feathers, putting on their winter coats, which God gives them. Feeling it now, it's good. Especially through the nostrils. And with this incline. So we're just gonna cook through this. I also brought a very special stone for some wind chill. I brought a rubellite tourmaline, which is piezoelectric and has thermogenesis properties. So I guess it would be called thermogenetic. There's another word for it. However, what happens is, as the stone cools in my pocket, as it is right now, and I grasp the stone cold with my cold hands and squeeze, providing mechanical stress on the points, which I'll show you momentarily once we get to the next checkpoint, you'll see or experience with me my feedback, which is warmth sent through the stone into my hand. And so it's a nice natural hand warmer when you don't have the ones that you buy at the store, or one that is made using whatever special technique you do. The simplest of hand warmers is just a stone. And when you have a cold stone, it works well for cooling things as well. That's why we used to that's why we do call drinks, drinks on the rocks. Rocks are a great way to cool down a drink. Cool down liquid. Or heat it up. So long as it's not fully absorbed with water from a stream, that would be a mistake. To put a rock from a stream into a fire is asking for trouble. It's asking for an exploded rock. so you don't want to do that. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, because of the exercise. Shortages of oxygen and abundance of carbon dioxide. Okay. This is a rubellite tourmaline. Some would say this is a carnelian agate. This is the tourmaline part. This is the point. That's where I'm putting pressure. Oh, got a little cut there. Didn't even feel it in the cold. This is the other point where there's cryptocrystalline agate. Squeezing, putting in my pocket. Just gonna let the brown adipose tissue, which is releasing warmth, handle the rest. I can already feel the stone heating up in my hand. It's very comforting. Notice no shivers. It's -1 degrees Fahrenheit for Celsius. I think that's around -12. I could be wrong. Maybe it's more. But this is one of the colder days you'll face in the Four Seasons of New England and lower New England at this altitude. You can see the steam coming out. So now I'm getting some significant warmth coming into the tourmaline, and my right hand feels really nice already. And I can tell it's not even fully warm. And the reason why I'm not walking and doing this is because I'm holding this camera. So I'm holding the camera with my left hand. It's not a complaint, it's just the facts. So it has complete and total exposure to the cold. Whereas normally if I were walking with a walking stick, I would be alternating between one hand on the walking stick and the other hand holding on to the tourmaline while providing mechanical stress on the points for heat and warmth while moving is a perfect combination of efforts to keep yourself warm while on the move in very cold weather. If you happen to not have, or if you're just looking to do cold exposure and ease your way in, and this is one of your challenging days, it's like a test for the marathon runner kind of thing, you know. So I'm feeling that warmth. I'm going to switch it over to my other hand so you can see the camera shift. And this is the stone right here. It's now very warm. I'm going to place it in my other pocket. And, ooh, give you some more of the sun. Take in the sun and enjoy it. Yeah, I can feel the warmth immediately coming into my left hand. I can also feel the warmth immediately leaving from my right. So it's not the best case scenario if you have to keep one hand exposed. It doesn't really make sense that you would do that because every coat has two pockets kind of thing. But in this case, with me showing you cold exposure and how frostbite will not be setting in at 15 minutes or any time. Here are my ears. They're not blue. They're just flush. Everything's doing what it needs to do, and except me, I need to be cooking. So I'm going to cook the engines up again and start moving forward. So I received a message from a dear friend who knows a lot about these walks in the woods, and she and I have had many profound conversations about God. And so I'm going to preface this conversation with, yes, this is about my concept of God, and I believe it will assist anyone who is looking to process death of a loved one. And what I mean by process is revise whatever opinions or feelings you have on the matter regarding a deceased loved one so that you can live through their spirit and have their spirit live through you, if that is your desire. Now, it may not be your desire. Your desire may be not to have any affiliation with anything God-related, to not be forced or indoctrinated into believing anything in particular. And that's great. Why I say it's great is because I believe you. Once again, this discourse today, oh, look, those beautiful crystals. Look at that sparkle, if you can catch it. That sparkle. They look like little diamonds. So beautiful. When we talk about this life experience, I call it a game of life. Florence Scovel Shinn has this beautiful book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And in Florence Shinn's book, she talks about this and talks about God as a thought. And that we, as part of that thought, are made in his image and likeness. How cool is that? And I just want to tell you about cold exposure right now, that I know these woods very well. And I know that the threshold of where I feel the cold the most is right around this time. And so it's interesting that my hands are feeling it the most right now. But I also know that once I get up this hill, it's like the last big pump for the body. Everything starts to level out and warm. By the time I'm on the other side of the circuit that I walk, everything feels great. So I know this now, that this is just going to be, or it is, the coldest part of the walk. And this is usually where people give up. Say, I can't handle it. And we're right at the threshold of 12 minutes, as you can see. So most doctors will say 12 to 15 minutes is when frostbite will start to set in. And it's exactly the threshold where you need to keep pushing. But should you decide to keep pushing with confidence in your body, that your body knows the means and the way through God, which is a superior intelligence, then your ego, or anyone's ego, or anyone's profession for that matter, everything falls into line and functions. So I'm just going to give some extra oomph to my stride. Since I'm feeling it, it's good, it's exciting, it's exhilarating. It's like consuming capsaicin. If you've never consumed a high Scoville pepper, then you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you have, like my friend Trav left me a link. Trav, I don't check links, buddy. Especially YouTube links. And the reason is, no matter how benign it might be, in 99% of the cases, there is the one chance that it is a link that is malicious. And so I just don't click them anymore. It doesn't matter if it's coming from a friend of confidence, such as yourself. I just don't click it. So if you would be so kind, Trav, as to let me know what the link's all about, and offer me something more than a link after years of not saying a word to me. How does that sound? I imagine it sounds good. Since you're getting all of this from me, let's make it equal. Okay, thanks. So we're now coming into 14 minutes, 14 seconds, just about at the 15-minute mark. And I felt that bite on my hands. And I'm gonna keep going. After that stride, my body knows now that I'm not messing around. I'm not giving up. I'm keeping going. Keeping on, keeping on. Breathing in through the nose. Out through the mouth. Chugga 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 chugga. So we all have our own life to live, and our game to play. And we're gonna do a little stop here. Gonna go to my hand and pocket for the tourmaline. Mechanical stress. Do a little bit of walking while dragging my stick so that you can see this. And you'll get a little different trigger for ASMR. However, 15 minutes, 59 seconds. I was saying before, the worst of it was back there. I'm not joking. It's like capsaicin. My friend Trad used to grow, or maybe he still does. I don't know, Trad, you tell me. Chime in. Do you still grow hot peppers? How hot have you gone in Scoville units? Because when you have something that's very high on the Scoville scale, it feels like death, like your body's going through some form of death itself. It's a very hard thing at first, and then once you realize that capsaicin isn't actually causing pain as much as it's making your pain receptors more sensitive, you realize that this has to subside and that it's not death. Oh, my hands feel so warm, I gotta tell you. Once the stone gets really cold and you provide mechanical stress with your hand, you're getting that mechanical exercise, squeezing, and I can feel my hands sweating into the stone now. It's a wild thing. So just gonna get some more sun. Oh, it feels so good. It's like a pure hand warmer. It's unbelievable. 17 minutes in, no shivering. It's not because I'm a tough guy, it's because this is how the body works. For those with a will, this is how it works. Switching hands, stone. Stone's going in the pocket. Wind chill, from the chest. Nice solid breeze. Camera bounce. Now you really feel like you're walking. Taking it in. Yeah, that's good. Alright. Nice. Back to the walking stick. Now the walking stick is unique too because obviously this is wood and there's a transfer of heat that comes from your hands into the wood. But you're not getting any thermogenesis from the wood itself per se, unless it was burned. By squeezing it, the stick, the walking stick, you're transferring heat into the stick from your hand. It's not a whole lot because the extremities are what lose heat first in order to preserve your vital organs in the cold. So anyway, I was saying before that when you have a real charge of capsaicin, which is the heat element or the pain-inducing element of a hot pepper, it feels a lot like you're dying. Like you can't handle it. It's too much. You just want to get away from it. You want to run from yourself when it's really hot. It's the same type of experience here in the cold. You want to run from it, but if you just breathe and be, and everything works out. You may not be comfortable, you may not be blissful, or you may be, depending on how much anandamide is being produced and released in your body. You may or may not experience bliss. That's all. What's wonderful about this is that this plastic tripod that I'm holding, it doesn't help at all. So it's just adding to the challenge. You know? Sometimes things add to the challenge. That's okay. I feel the cut on my finger now, starting to come alive. I'm just mentioning these things because if I don't mention them, and I continue to ruminate about them, then it will steal my energy, my ATP. It will steal it and use it for complaint and fear. And I want none of that. It doesn't help me. All right, this is a good spot for sun. So I'm gonna get some. Here comes a gust of wind down into the bog. Just going to embrace it and lean into it. And the sun exposure without sunblock is beautiful, as it allows your immune system to work, helps with pain reduction. It's revitalizing. Now, the first time you experience this quartz stone, however you do it, it may feel like pain coming into your hands at first. It's just your hands warming up like you're coming in from the cold. So I can tell you right now that it's much better. Much better than it was just a few minutes ago. 22 minutes, almost 23 minutes now. Just checking my hand, it's good. Going back in the pocket with the tourmaline. I can tell you more than anything else, it's the cut. And I don't know where that came from. It's a cut in my index finger. I feel more than anything. Yeah, feeling good now. So here on this last day of Saturnalia, last full day of it, I wanted to discuss with you death and what that means. So a lot of people get caught up in the idea of death as being a permanent thing. And so I'd rather you not get caught up in that. For death in truth is just a beginning. So we have pivots in life, we have chapters. And these chapters, they have beginnings, middles, and ends. And now this may sound strange because I usually say there's no time. In truth, it's illusion. The reality itself is just a perpetual present moment in which we are deciding how to use it as the gamers, as the players, as the performers. And that's to a certain extent true. We use our imagination to go into the past. I can go into the past now and say, 10 minutes ago, I felt like my hands were going to freeze. Come to the present moment now, even with wind chill, my hands feel perfect. The brown adipose tissues had time to work. The anandamide has been released in the body. The sun absorption has also helped with the pain reduction. All systems go, so we're good and we're walking. This is present moment living. However, I could use this time, as it were, this manifold expression of time, which is different than past and future. I could use it with my imagination to co-create with consciousness a construct of the past. And I could say, hey Trav, I got your message in the form of a link. I'm already talking about the past because I said I got, right? I received. So this opens up the pathway for suffering, you see? Suffering because then it leads to judgment and all sorts of other labels. And even watching this video and responding in comments introduces time to the equation. How wild is this? But what's beautiful about this is that every human being has the choice as to how to use their consciousness, your aliveness. And I say consciousness because people can fall in line with that. Scientists, spiritualists, all alike, agnostics, atheists can all say, yes, I'm conscious, because if you are saying I'm not conscious, like there's no life, then that's still a belief system that has to be given to you by an intelligence. It's like you're still playing. As much as you want to play, like none of this exists in truth. There is no God. Whatever it is, you can't make that choice unless you're being given the energy to make that choice. So let adenosine triphosphate be your God, okay? Or don't, is what I'm trying to say. It may not function for you because there may be something that is from your past or some speculation about the future that is so dominant in your life, so powerful in your life, that it has taken all of your power from you. And that's what happens when you deny your consciousness. When you deny the consciousness being given to you in the form of 6 million cells releasing into your body every second through your stem cells, when you deny that that's happening, when you deny there's an internal process that's keeping you alive, that's taking the food that you eat, assimilating it into new cells, taking the air you breathe, doing the same, helping with circulation itself, your immune system working through your lymph nodes, your brown adipose tissue creating an anandamide. If you think none of this is happening, that's fine too. But the bottom line is you're still thinking that none of this is happening. And therein lies the rub. You can't escape consciousness. And it doesn't matter if you're asleep. Asleep in the day, living out a role, you know, ignorance is bliss, what have you. Or if you are in the deepest, darkest sleep of your life, you still recall a deep, dark sleep. Or maybe you don't, but you have awakened. Once again, you can't escape consciousness. There's not a single person on this planet, near-death experience or not, that cannot say there was an experience. Cannot say there wasn't an experience. That's important. You can't say you're not having an experience right now. You could be having an experience of disbelief, of rejection, of pain. You could be having an experience of insanity. You could be having an experience of bliss, happiness, but you can't say you're not having an experience. That's the caveat. And with that caveat, we come in to discuss the meaning of death itself. What does it really mean? 29 minutes, 51 seconds in. Let's talk about the meaning of death, okay? Because according to all doctors on the planet right now, just about, except the great believers in Wim Hof, and the yogis who understand what's going on right now, I would be in real deep doo-doo. But I'm not. I'm just as good as any other day, and I'm not shivering. And you can see I haven't even covered my ears today. I do this intentionally. Not to show you I'm a big boy, and I'm tough. I'm showing you that William Vincent Carlton, the broken man, has gotten out of the way. Out of the way. Completely. That's what's beautiful about getting out of the way. When you get out of the way, God takes over. Starts playing you as an instrument. An instrument of Him. Or an instrument of the infinite intelligence that gives you all the aliveness that I mentioned before, that I won't mention again because I've said it so many times. You are not maintaining your body. Your body is being maintained by a superior intelligence that knows the means and the way, not you. You do eating, you do breathing, you do sleeping, you do procreating. But you do not do the maintenance of your body as the intelligence. But you are a part of it. Congratulations. If you want things to change, if you want to be warm, if you want to have the ability, then you can. You just have to believe. You don't have to tell the body, you better warm up. No, you just have to believe that you're warm. That's the trick. And it takes time for your body to grasp that idea and be okay with it. So that's why time matters. Time is the distance that you see between the beginning, middle, and end. You're starting and the result. So you start off cold, you want to be warm. That's the result. Antecedents, behaviors, consequence. What's your behavior? I put a stone in my pocket. I face the sun. I breathe. I believe. I see myself as warm. Thus I am. There's no distance. There's no time anymore. I've eliminated it. But once there was time. Time and belief that it would take time for me to warm up. Now that belief is gone. It's been replaced with I have a stone in my pocket that when I squeeze, it makes my hand warm. That's the belief system. It's as arbitrary as that. Have a look at the sky and listen to ASMR. While I warm up this beautiful blue light tourmaline. You know why it's so easy to work with silica? It's because the transfer of heat is immediate. It's so beautiful. Either works in your favor or works against you, but how that works depends on you. How cool is that? When I'm referring to silica, I'm referring to this tripod in one hand and this rubellite tourmaline with carnelian agate in the other. The agate being the cryptocrystalline silica, silicon dioxide. You know, the stuff that they're mining in the Appalachians? After a surprising storm came about and flushed out a bunch of people living there in the sticks, that same stuff that, you know, gives most of the wealth to California, which is a dying state. Yeah, same stuff. See, either works for you, works against you. Your choice. Your choice. See how I snuck that in? Just for you. All you Californians. But you know, California used to be a red state? Yeah. It was, seriously. Yeah, California was a red state. Back in the day, just kidding, most of the 20th century, California was red. Predominantly Republican. Ronald Reagan was a big part of that. He was. And I'm saying this to you because most people go through an evolution with politics, and it reflects their life choices. I, for one, started my journey in political leanings as a Democrat, and now I am full-blown Republican. And why I am is because to be Republican right now is to be a counterculturist. To be part of the counterculture movement is to be Republican. To believe in the nuclear family as the superior protection from governmental influence and indoctrination is to be a Republican. It's rebellious. It's to be on the side of the rebels in Star Wars. Seriously. It's to be a Republican. It's totally crazy. But it's true. It's the truth. It's where we are. So at the end of the day, these are just game choices, right? See that hat I'm wearing? It's like choosing teams. But the MAGA movement, the Make America Great Again movement, was a Ronald Reagan movement from the 1980s. You can find commercials in the early 80s of Ronald Reagan doing the Make America Great Again campaigns when he was talking about California being in the dumps. And he helped to clean it up, and now it's done. California is a dead state. It's been a bankrupt state for about 15 years now, but it's showing its true colors as the result of such poverty and poor decisions and robbery of people's social security benefits. And on this goes, I won't go into it, but it's a shit-run state. Notice how I didn't say it's a shit state, because it's a beautiful state. It's the sunshine state. But it's all murky and dreary right now because of people mismanaging your rights and your money. And that's about to end. No matter how this goes, there's a lot of talk about... We're going to talk about death, right? We're talking about the end of a cycle. It's just a birth. That's all it is. Red, blue. It's the same as the heart. Right? You got one side that's red, the other side that's blue, in the middle it's purple. At the source. And it's just interesting to me that source color happens to be the color of royalty. For each and every human being has been given their own kingdom. However, that kingdom is not of this world. Perhaps you've heard me say that. Perhaps you've read that in scripture. It's because it has meaning. Your kingdom is not of this world. Your kingdom is within you. Have I not discussed with you the power that is in your body? Should I say it again? About how many cells per second? How much air you're allowing to move as tidal volume in a given day? That's 2,100 gallons of air. How is this not a kingdom? How is it not yours? How are you separate from that? You were born as the skipper. It's your kingdom. I'm not speaking in parables. You have 7 octillion atoms that have existed from stardust explosion. Since then, 13.8 billion years and beyond, I would argue, because I believe that every atom carries within it the all-encompassing infinite intelligence that is God and His manifold expression. Every atom. You have 7 octillion of them in your body. So you're an octillionaire when it comes to stardust. So when I say that you have a kingdom within you, I'm not joking around. It's so much more than what's outside of you. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Whether you believe in God, whether you don't, you are a walking, talking, miraculous universe of energy. With an energetic potential, if all those atoms were to suddenly split at the same time, to become a sun yourself. With the right motivation and the right movement, you could do it. That's all I'm trying to tell you. So, your kingdom is not of this world. This kingdom that you see outside of you is that of illusion. It's designed as a school. And to graduate this school, you have to declare more than fear this world. You have to declare to yourself that you are birthless, deathless, changeless, immortal, pure spirit. That's your truth. You start to announce that with your voice, and you create an electron cloud in this beautiful forest. And the free electrons start to come in and form right before you every time you speak. And every time you breathe in through the nose, nitric oxide is produced, endorphins start to be released, and you are allowing those free electrons to enter your body and bind to the impurities that otherwise would mutate your cellular structures and cause disease. Yes, you have a kingdom within you that is not of this world. For it is the maker of this world. It is the giver of this world. 41 minutes, 13 seconds in, warmer than ever on this beautiful final eve of our Saturnalia adventure, if that's how you call it. And if I call it wrong, good. Let it be wrong in your mind. Let it work you into an oblivion. I mean it. Do not give your power to me. When you judge someone, you are giving your power to that person. You may think that it's giving you an advantage with other people, but when you label and judge people, you're giving them your power. You're saying, I am using my energy to create a perception of separation between myself and that person. It's an ego game, because the spirit is one. The spirit that gives us life is one. At the same time, you could say you have 7 octillion atoms, all one. How? You have to look at its origin. Wasn't its origin the bursting of a star? Wasn't the origin of your body the bursting of a zygote? Splitting off, multiplying, dividing. One. No separation. You're the skipper. No separation. But your body scattered those cells out, forming into your nervous system, your organs, your circulatory system, your cerebrum. Look at those diamonds. Diamonds all over the ground. Testament to the cold. Look at that stream. Look at it, because you're not going to hear it today unless you really listen. And you'll hear a red-headed woodpecker in the distance. 43 minutes, 25 seconds. I have no fear of the cold. My hands are warm. Want to see them? Let's look at them in the light. Do they look blue to you? They look as alive as they've ever been. Exposed to -1 degree temperatures. How's my face looking? My ears? They feel really warm. I'm actually just enjoying just basking in the sun right now, knowing that it's a pain reliever, a natural pain reliever. Knowing that by receiving this sun right now, with calm, all of the cholesterol underneath my skin is now being formed into vitamin D to transport calcium and other vitals to my body. How beautiful is that? Do you know I'm not doing that? Do you know you're not doing that? Do you understand that's an intelligence that is far superior to anything that we could possibly claim through our degrees and knowledge? Do you understand that this intelligence is the giver and gift of your life? Show reverence for it. You might actually be surprised with the gifts that come following such declarations. Like you can survive in the cold. 44 minutes and 44 seconds in. No frostbite, no death, just life. For every single second, yes, 6 million cells are being created. But you know what else is happening? 6 million cells that just couldn't make the grade are being flushed out. The immune system's going around and gobbling them up, taking care of them. And all those free radicals that were once attached, thought they had a chance. They've been met by a storm this morning. Not a cytokine storm, but a storm of powerful immune system cells that formed in my thymus, my high heart. And they graduated like military frogmen. Big blobs that come through and destroy and consume everything. Has no choice. Don't you know that's why we're here? That's what we're here to become. Only 2% graduation rate from your thymus. Those cells sent specially to that school in your high heart, through your lymph nodes. They give them a special transport. And they arrive and like, whoa, having to face off with antigens, antibodies, having to identify them, respond to things correctly, and if you make a single mistake, you're done. Start over again. Tough life. Until you start to believe that you understand the system. You understand how it works. You understand that you become what you think about. And that there's a source that acts as a catalyst that makes you that perfect killer T cell. 2% graduation rate. That's why you're here. The rest, I have no idea. Asleep. No idea that they're here to become the most powerful immune cell for the universe itself. Not just for this world. We're in the thymus right now, my friends. Congratulations. We are on our way to becoming immune cells or on the way to starting over again. Either way, we are here with a great gift. We become what we think about. And you gotta have those immune cells fully graduated and strong, you know? Because if you get these social influencers who come on without any life experience, claiming to know all the answers and the means and the way, to only like, subscribe, and follow, then you're looking at an immune cell that is in arrested development, neotenous, hasn't made it all the way through, and yet is pretending to be a protector of the realm that is your world. Thank God we're outside, huh? So the truth of the matter is, right now, in your body, if you've introduced certain things to your body over the years, especially the last 5 years, you might find that there are these spikes of immune activity happening over and over again. They're called cytokine storms. And they happen when there are foreign invaders in your body that happen to act suddenly as if in a payload that was hidden and attached, like, I don't know, in a cleavage site or as a spike protein. You know, it could be anything. And so these things, they attach themselves to cells and they pass through the blood-brain barrier and into your heart and into your gut. And with the right frequency or the right message, those nanoparticles can just release a payload right in an instant. This is what I'm learning, you know? It's not me making up some story. I'm just learning this, thinking to myself, wow, we have undeveloped immune cells that can't figure out what's going on because some payload has come in that was unbeknownst to them, unannounced, just kind of bound on, spiked itself in, made its way, and now it's wreaking havoc everywhere. It's a Trojan horse. So you don't want that. So you come to the woods, right? And you breathe in these free electrons. Helps your immune system to recover. It's not active all the time without a chance to relax. Because if it's active all the time, it's like a volcano going off in town. Everyone scatters. There's no time to think about how this happened. There's no time to do any research. The body's just trying to put out fires. That's all it's trying to do. And so while it's trying to put out fires, all sorts of Trojan horses can make their way in. and see the fall and demise of Troy itself. How sad it is. You don't want that. It's a sad story. It's a sad story. You don't want that. And so I've decided in my game, I'm not going to live that sad story. Instead, I'm going to play the role of Bodhisattva. And I'm going to take you by the hand. As your Bodhisattva, I'm going to show you. You're just going to breathe in through the nose. You're going to drink spring water. You're going to add some activated charcoal to your diet somehow, perhaps in your water. You're going to alkalize your blood by adding some fresh lime juice to that beautiful spring water that you're having regularly. And you're going to remove all that fluoride, since it's a neurotoxin developed by pesticide companies that are used to spray your GMO foods. You're just going to undo all that, right? And as you undo all of that garbage, it gives your body a chance to finally rest. Remember we talked about resting your body in the form of a fast? Even though you feel the hunger pangs, because you know how sugar is, right? Supposedly 8 times more addicting than cocaine. It's pretty hard to kick that habit. Happens to be that which feeds your cancer cells perfectly. In fact, your cancer cells need it and thrive off of it and just desire it. But you don't want those cancer cells, do you? You want your immune system to be stronger than ever. Don't you? It's a question. It's not rhetorical. Because you have a choice. This is your game. 52 minutes, 20 seconds in. It's your game. You decide how you want to play it. Like Florence Shin said, you become what you think about. So death is a beginning. You'll see in the thymus, those cells that don't make graduation, they start over again. Does that sound familiar? Made some mistakes in life, believed yourself to be a victim of external circumstances, made it to some crossroads, and you decided enough is enough. You lost all faith in your aliveness. You gave in to the ego, and the ego drove you to death. Start over again. Back through those narrow gates, through the lymph nodes, back to the thymus, back to school. Life school. That's right. School of hard knocks. Back to the school of hard knocks again. Oh, this stick feels so warm, it's like fire in my hands. Good fire. Good fire. Trav, how am I doing? Am I hanging in there? Should I have dropped dead by now? Maybe I did on your screen. If you believe it enough, you might actually see that. See how that works? This is how it works, folks. You see someone in a state of unaliveness, is likely to come about. Like anything else, death is no exception. You see someone is starting over again, you might just be on your way to start over again too. It's no threat. It's the truth. Newton's third law of motion. Schrodinger's cat. Double slit experiment. They all fall in line. For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. So, if you see someone is dead, you wish them poorly. I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying if you do, if you have, if you ever would, whoever that was that believed in God and their aliveness as superior to their collection of life experiences, that they're birthless, deathless, changeless, and immortal, pure spirit, pure spiritus. It just may be that they graduated that level, they passed through, and you didn't. And you still have more chances. But you're not going to have a chance with that person. That person's not going to be around. Not going to be around to remind you of what you really are. So if you're seeing this right now and you're seeing my aliveness, feel fortunate for this broken down piece of meat that's William happens to get it. He was probably the least expected to get it, but he does get it. So if you're seeing him right now, walking these trails, and you notice yourself as alive, you still have a chance for graduation. And boy, how graduation is the most glorious thing you could ever receive or achieve in this beautiful sojourn, this earth life sojourn. Oh, the mucous membranes in my nostrils are working overtime today. I gotta tell you, they're doing a great job too. I just want to thank my body. Here we are, 56 minutes in, -1 degree Fahrenheit. Diamond sparkles in the snow. The sun is shining bright and the wind has decidedly died down. I couldn't be more grateful for this experience. I feel warm, motivated, and powerful. Thanks to God. Not me, but thanks to this system that allows me to be the skipper of it. At least with the movement. Thank you. At least with the breathing. Thank you. At least with the eating. Thank you. At least with the loving. Thank you. At least with the thought process and choice of thought, feeling, conviction, routine, habit, personality, giving me all of these choices. I'm so grateful for this aliveness. Even as a broken down piece of meat. Very grateful. I have all this power at the ready. 57 minutes, 42 seconds in. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? Remember that? It was right here. We talked about it. Remember? Time flies when you're having fun. It was right here. What else was? Remember when I gave the monologue of what you'd rather be doing other than recognizing your aliveness, from constructing to teaching? How is it that I remember? It's because this is a marker. Time and space in a circuit, when repeated, communicates with this environment. These trees are telling me my stories. These trees, which are decidedly alive, yet apparently dead, are sending me constant messages of story. And it's happening so seamlessly that I don't even notice it most of the time. But I'm starting to notice it more. What does that mean? It means I'm becoming one with it. This spirit, this aliveness, more than my collection of life experiences as a broken down piece of meat. How beautiful is this? You continue repeating your cycles, and you believe that you are alive more than dead, and you will be carried through all the difficulties, all the challenges. It will happen to you naturally. You won't even notice your change. You'll have to speak to people who haven't spoken to you in years for them to notice the change. And if they notice something that is negative, just know it's likely they won't be paying attention to you much longer, for you will be graduating very soon. Graduating from this beautiful game of life as a tremendously powerful, fully trained, well-organized frogman, killer T-cell. I know it sounds pretty morbid to call yourself a killer T-cell, but wouldn't you rather be that than just walking around aimlessly like a platelet, being pushed through your body without any say in the matter. You come, sure, from a place where you had a nucleus once in the marrow of your bones, but once that was pushed out into the bloodstream, you gave up that nucleus in order to take in more of this vital oxygen and all that glucose, all that sugar, and just carry it wherever you have to carry it. You know, the daily grind pushes you through, and all the while you're being stripped of all your worth. So you finally come full circle, you're on the side of the blue, you got nothing left, you've hit rock bottom. What then? Asks the platelet. What then? Somehow made it to the lungs, and it's dirty and gross. There's nothing inviting there. Until suddenly, in comes this most beautiful breath. You start to feel the warmth around you, even in the cold. Some light inviting you to turn toward it. So you do. And as you turn towards this light, the platelet that was once you is recycled, becomes brand new again, somehow miraculously, through an intelligence that is far superior than us as an egoic self. But yet, we are still a part, as in a component of this. And such a major component we are, for we are the beginning of all of this system, you see? We are the progenitor of the systems that are at work for us, unbeknownst to most of us. It works for us, and it comes from us. So what does this tell you? If you are the progenitor of all the cells in your body, and all the atoms have fallen in line, taken their space, and created a structure that is your vessel, your body, what does this say about you if you're the one who's controlling the figure? If you're the one who's taking the steps, if you're the one who's doing the eating, sleeping, drinking, procreating, fighting, running, what does this say about you? Do you see it now? Has it finally reached you that you are God? If all of this has come to you and come from you, it's better to say, how could you be anything else? You came from a completeness, a unification of sperm with egg, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. That spark of life through the zinc that you carried was your soul entering into this sojourn. You are God, lest you forget, lest you don't believe, and that's okay. You can be a platelet. You can be unconscious of this all and just become a platelet. Just become part of the stream and have everything that you ever cared about stripped away from you. One push at a time. Or you could decide when you're in the marrow of the bone that that's not your path. You want a new path. And infinite intelligence says no problem, because we are in a need of strong frogmen. Big, powerful, globule menaces to any foreign invaders who would possibly step foot inside this universe that is your temple. It is our temple. And so, if you would like to take that route, there's a 2% graduation rate. It's not for the faint of heart. This life experience is tough. And it's likely you'll be defeated a number of times until you finally learn the meaning of life and the manual within that. You become what you think about. And once you grasp that, rest assured you're on your way to graduation, my friend. Once you start taking responsibility for that which has occurred to your life, deprioritizing time and its construction using your imagination, and instead turning to the imagination as Christ itself, the anointment that shows you the means and the way to your kingdom within, and then finally delivers to you salvation. Jesus is salvation. And if you think I'm referring to a man, you're wrong. Let the trees scream as much as they need to. Jesus as salvation is not a man. Jesus as salvation is not begotten by man. Jesus as salvation is one in being with the Creator, the infinite intelligence that resides within you. That is Jesus. For when you're in the cold, warmth is your salvation. When you are hungry, food is your salvation. When you're confined, freedom is your salvation. When you are poor, wealth and money is your salvation. When you are lonely, not alone, but lonely, company is your salvation. And all of this comes from within. All of it. There's no difference between the dollars and the doppels of water that you get in the desert that pull you through from that sudden oasis that appeared out of nowhere, synchronistically. It's all salvation, and it comes from within. The warmth that I'm experiencing right now on this day is the warmth of a summer day. It feels just as warm. There's no shivers. There's steam. Everything within my body understands where I am. I'm not here. Not in the traditional sense, for I have surrendered that for the warmth that God gives. For it is my salvation on this day. Hour, 7 minutes, 19 seconds in. This is right around the time when it's an hour and 8 minutes. Once again, we're looking at synchronicities in time, going through circuits. Same type of conversations occur naturally when you surrender. There's no blockage. There's no writer's block. There's no such thing. There's just ignorance and the inability to step out of the way. That's all there is. So when you get out of the way from your creative endeavors, muscle memory takes over. The courage that you have carries you through. And it feels great. It feels exhilarating for me to say it's an hour and 8 minutes in on the dot right now, and I feel no cold. Whereas in the beginning, it was like life and death. Well, we've talked about that already, haven't we? For life and death are one and the same. Just part of a continuation, a continuum that never ends. So why not embrace it? Why be caught on the life so much that we hold on to everything like misers? Why be caught up on death so much that we would be forever embedded in the past without any revision? And instead, just go with the flow. Just come to terms with that by not defining it for once. Instead of claiming that my insanity kept me warm today, for once, could you admit that it came from something other than this broken down piece of meat, please? That would be my prayer for you, not me. I'm warm. I'll say it again. I am warm. And I've been warm the entire time. Even though my body said otherwise, like the capsaicin comes in and says, you're in pain. When you're not in pain, it's just your pain receptors are more sensitive than they were. That's all this is. By the way, the max temperature of this day, in case you're claiming that it's getting warmer as we go, is 8 degrees Fahrenheit. Max. That's the high. Do you believe in anandamide yet? I do. Because I'm getting high on my own supply, just like Wim Hof says. The same thing as something I can't say without getting banned, that you get from a plant. except it's better. It's continuous. It's synthesized perfectly for me. It gives me everything that I want. It's the perfect strain, as it were. So I don't need to buy it from the store. I don't have to grow it. Just make it. By surrendering to God. So folks, as we come to the end of our journey today on this discourse, know that life and death are one and the same. Regardless of which side you're leaning on, red or blue, the centeredness of it is royalty. Your kingdom within. Purple, violet, truth. The highest color on the spectrum of light. Best to join it. Because the rest is just pain. Just find yourself in balance. In the way that you want to play. Not in the way that others insist you play. It's your game. You're the skipper. You make the choices. You are the belief. So keep wishing. Every time you entertain a thought, you wish. So be sure to wish well. God bless you. And God bless this beautiful country. This unbelievably free, beautiful country. Be proud to be an American. For once in a long time. That's my prayer for you. God bless.